Good evening, friends. Happy Saturday evening. I'm here to do a wax empties with you, but as you can see, I have someone here with me. I wanted to bring something else that I love to the channel. This is something that we have been talking about in the community that I am in with this little mud bug right here. This is my first reborn, Diana Hope. I call her Hope. I've had her for a little over a year. I just yesterday received from my friend Ann Siggers, who I adopted this little girl from. She gifted me with two preemie sculpts who are named Hannah Grace and Charity Faith. And they go by Grace and Faith. And you will see them on the channel soon as well. But because Hope was my first, I wanted to have her for the first video in which I introduced them. I'll tell you the story of my baby Hope here. I'll take her passy out so you can see her beautiful face. And it just works out that her passy is Cinderella. I'm a Disney nerd. I will move, hopefully you can see when I move the camera here. Her stuff is over there. She sits, her blanket is over there. Or one of her blankets. Oh geez. And the bottle there actually has a butterfly on it, which if you've been around the channel long, you know the importance of that. And she's got a little pink blanket there. I was putting all the stuff up high because our puppies. I have recently started putting the reborn stuff in my library closet. I need to get that stuff down and put it in there as well. But I haven't done that yet. And she's in this cute little flamingo sleeper that her Auntie Ann sent with her in her box opening. But I will tell you the story. If she is a regular newborn size reborn. She is 3/4 vinyl arms, full vinyl legs, cloth body, but she's weighted with glass beads. She has a baby powder wafer in her diaper. She is painted by hand. Her vinyl is hand painted. Every detail on this baby is hand painted. It's amazing the time and effort that these artists put in. She has been a great part of my healing since my precious Dusty passed and left me. I'm going to give her passy back. And it's just magnetic that she takes the passy. So these dolls are not recommended for someone that has a pacemaker in them because of the magnets in their heads to allow them to take the pacifiers. But there is a lot of therapeutic benefit known to the reborns. And excuse me, because I move them around and play with them all the time when I'm holding them. Come here, Hoopy. You're going to come up on the shoulder. Come here. And yes, I talk to them. I know the difference. I know they're dolls. But there is therapeutic benefit to the reborns. And she has been a huge part of my healing since my precious Dusty left me. Long story short, my Dusty was a mom of 3 boys. She desperately wanted a little girl, but was not able to have a little girl because she got sick. And they actually considered adoption, but because she was so sick, they were denied the application. So I just asked her one day, if you had a little girl, what would you name her? And she was about midway through her 2.5-year battle, so about 1.5 years into having cancer. not quite a year and a half, she said to me, well, her name would have to be Hope, because she just would, her whole journey was about never losing hope, believing that her miracle was coming. And I'm sorry, we will get to the wax, I promise, but I gotta do this first. So I kept that in my heart. And when Anne, my friend Anne, another thing that I love to do, you'll see I'm working here, is adult coloring pages. This one is from a book of hymns. This is an Amazing Grace page I'm working on for a friend. And Anne has her channel started as a coloring channel. And her channel is called A Colorful Life. I need to come up with a cute name for my channel, but I haven't done that. But her channel is called A Colorful Life. And she came on and talked about how she was going to incorporate more hobbies into the channel, and talked about these reborn dolls. And she used to work in a nursing home and said she'd seen them there, but didn't know a whole lot about them, and had begun to do more research. And she has a lot of anxiety, depression, PTSD type stuff that she deals with on a regular basis. And she's a caregiver to aging parents, and there's just a lot of stress going on for her. And so she had read about these reborns and decided to get herself a reborn and try it out. And she adopted a sculpt, and I can't remember this. That's the thing that I'm not good at, that a lot of people in the community are very good at, is knowing the sculpts. Like, I could not tell you the sculpt that my precious Hope is, but I love her to pieces. I couldn't tell you the sculpt that either one of my new preemies are either, because that's not what I care about. I care about the other benefits that come from the dolls. Gosh, sorry, I'm not going to get emotional at this, but, she was talking about having found, and yes, I play with her hands. I love for her to I love to hold her little hands. She was talking about these dolls and the benefits that she knew that they had, and she got herself a sculpt, and I don't know what the first sculpt was. She had him as a little boy, and his name was Peter, and she loved Peter, but then she wanted to adopt a little girl, and in the reborn world we call it adoption. When you purchase a doll or you're gifted a doll, it is an adoption. And I thought that was even more fitting because my Dusty tried to adopt herself a little girl, so I got to adopt them for her. I now have 3 little girls for her. But she got this little girl. She adopted this little girl from an artist, and she had a traumatic experience when she was bringing the box inside. She called her Charlotte, but when she was bringing her box inside, she stepped on a nail in her yard. And so there is a process that a reborn mom goes through that is the reborn bonding process. You hold them a lot, you cuddle them a lot. One of my preemie sculpts is a cuddle baby. You guys, I've only had her since last night. Oh my word. I mean, I think cuddle babies might be the greatest invention in the reborn world. There's more to that than I can even explain right now. But, that's my charity Faith, who will be called Faith. She actually slept in the bed with me last night because I'm obsessed. But anyway, and her little twin sister that came with her, Miss Grace, she is an awake sculpt. So I have a hard time having her at night. But I carried her around all day because that's what you do when you get new ones. And of course my Hope, she's my first. And she's like the most significant to me. So she is a really special little sculpt. And if you notice, I keep watching her and I keep loving on her because this is not particularly an easy video to make because I have to think about a lot of sad things with my girl. And it's just easier when I have this little angel in my arms. Anyway, so she said my little girl, she'd have to be Hope because she would represent the hope of where I am in my journey right now. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love that. And then she never did have her little girl. And she passed and she left. And I was, the devastation I cannot even explain. I couldn't make it through a day for the first 6 weeks without breaking down and just sobbing. Not one single day in the first 6 weeks did I make it through a day without crying. And we were not even actually relatives. We were just church friends. Now, my church friends, we use a term around my church called church family. And that is, we, I guess, took that to a whole new level. She called us sisters of the heart. We were super close and super bonded. I struggled so bad when she left. I still do, as you can probably hear in my voice, but it's a lot more improved now than it was. But I struggled so bad. And her diagnosis anniversary was March. So let's think this through. So she died in August of 2019. So March of 2020 would have been her 3-year diagnosis anniversary. She was diagnosed in March of 2017 and fought for 2.5 years. And then, but it was like late January or early February that Anne made a video on her channel with this little girl and said that she was selling her, and I didn't know the full story yet. I did not know the full story that she'd had the negative experience bonding with her. She actually had stepped on a nail in her driveway. Oh, I never did finish that story. She had stepped on a nail in her driveway and had actually put the nail through her foot. I won't get any more graphic than that because I don't know. Some people can't handle things like that. I know if my Susie watches this, even just hearing that, it's going to be almost too much for her. But, she did. She had put the nail through her foot, trying to bring this little girl inside, so it made her, she couldn't bond with her. So she was wanting to she wanted to put her up for adoption and sell her and rehome her. And she had talked to me about the benefits for, grief recovery and yes, we even termed it as depression and anxiety because I feel like I'm improved enough now. But that first 1.5 years without her, she knew everything I did. I talked to her every day. I didn't know what to do without her. And I was so lost. Honestly, I had lost. At that point, I had lost my granddad on my dad's side and my cousin, both in the same year. One of my cousins. But I was 7 when they died. So, and then the only other losses I had experienced were my great-grandparents. As far as, family. The only other losses I had experienced were my great-grandparents on my maternal grandmother's side of the family. So I never really saw them, but maybe 2-3 times a year. I wasn't super close to them, and that didn't bother me. Now, I was super close to my granddad, but like I said, I was 7. And so it was just a totally different. This was the first time with a full understanding of what was happening, that somebody I was actually close to had passed and left me, and I was lost completely. I had no idea what I was doing. And so we had talked about reborns and the fact that as a little girl, I played dolls all the time. And we talked, and she said I was the same way. And the reborn, like, she was sharing research with me. And she said, I really think that you would enjoy a reborn and it would be good for you. And I said, oh, okay. And that was about 2 weeks before she decided that she had not bonded with this little girl and she was going to put her up for adoption. And I saw the video telling that she was putting her up for adoption. And I emailed her and reached out, and she was like, oh my gosh, yes, I think you would love her. And she worked with me, and I feel like gave me a really good deal on the doll, as well as worked with me, because I know I follow some artists now and I know what they go for. She's let me adopt this little girl for less than $300. So I feel like she gave me a really good deal. But when I had her name picked out before she ever came to me. Her name is Diana Hope. Now, I call her Hope. That's kind of a thing. All of my babies have ended up, they're going to be called by their middle names. And I don't know if I'll do that if and when I have actual children. But for my reborns, it seems to be what I'm doing. And I don't quite understand it, but it's what is happening. So I'm going with it. You know what, I'm going to give her a passy back. That's another thing I love to do. I play with the bottles and the magnetic pacifiers with her. Sit over there in that moon chair and rock her and give her bottles. Like, it's so soothing and so calming. But she sold her to me, really let me adopt her for what I think is a really good deal. I named her Diana Hope. Diana is my friend Rachel. Rachel Lane, if you watch this, I didn't talk to you about doing this, but I want you to understand this too. My friend Rachel is a mother of 7 children. Like, my mind is blown. She's amazing. Karen Crawford, if you watch this, yeah, I don't know how you do it either. She's a mother of 8, you guys. But anyway, my friend Rachel, their youngest little girl, her name is Diana. Her name is Diana Faith. So it's kind of funny that I have Diana Hope and Charity Faith. So it's kind of like I have 2 babies named for their Diana. So, but their youngest little girl, her name's Diana. She's 4 now, I believe. She is, not that every baby is not, but she is a little miracle. Miss Diana has spina bifida, but she does beautifully. She has her little posture walker, and she pulls it behind her, and she walks wherever she wants to go. In the house, she lets go, and she takes some steps. Oh my gosh, that child runs. It's so sweet. She's precious. And she even had a butterfly dress on at Easter. And you guys know, if you've been around long and you've heard me talk about my Dusty, butterflies. So it's even more. Like, she was a little miracle baby that helped me in the early part of my recovery and grief. I talked to Rachel a lot, and I would ask her about the baby, and Diana helped me a lot. So it made sense to me to name her Diana Hope. And then, to top it all off, you guys, this is what God does. Hope's box arrived to me the day before her 3-year diagnosis anniversary. So I opened up the box, and Anne sent me an amazing box opening, complete with brownie M&Ms. You guys, if you've never had the brownie M&Ms, try them. So she even sent me chocolate, for goodness sakes. And she sent me so much stuff for this little girl. And I opened her box, and I held her, and I called Anne, and she told me some things I needed to know about reborn care. And then I put her up, and we went and ate. But the next day, when Dusty's diagnosis anniversary came, and all I wanted to do was cry, I sat and I held Hope all day, and she was oh my gosh, it was the most calming experience. Now, I have a notebook that I keep like a letter journal to my Dusty. And I was writing in it every single day right after she passed. I actually have not written in it in quite a number of weeks at this point. But those are two of the things that I have used significantly in my grief recovery. Is that journal and this baby Hope. She has been the greatest thing to me. And I have, my mom likes to say I have a talent for finding the sick ones. I have a lot of friends going through a lot of things. And I'm the type of person, Melissa Johnson, if you watch this, I know you will understand this. And I apologize, by the way, for just calling you Johnson, not even thinking. Don't tell Dale. Shh. But if you watch this, I know you'll understand this. I'm the type of person who hates it when I can't fix something, and it breaks my heart, and all I want to do is cry. Let me tell you how much attention this little girl gets. Because when Mama can't fix it, I come in here and I get my baby Hope, and I sit and I hold her and I love on her. And it is the it is the most calming and the most relaxing thing. And you guys, she came into my life in March of 2020. We were all stuck at home a lot. In fact, that night when we went out to eat, all we did was go to a drive-thru, park in the parking lot, eat in the car, because nowhere was open. Okay? But, she came into my life in, no, it was 2021. I'm sorry. It was 2021. But still, there was a lot of COVID restriction and shutdown and a lot of extra time at home. So we got a lot of good bonding time. And then just recently, just a few weeks ago, Anne reached out and messaged me and told me that she would like to gift me. She said 1, but then she ended up sending me 2 reborn preemies. One is a full vinyl limbs and head with a cloth body just like Hope has, and then except for she's 3/4 arms and full legs, and my little Hannah Grace is full vinyl arms, full vinyl legs, and her vinyl head. But then, and she's painted hair, or no, she's mohair, which is different. Hope's hair and Charity Faith's hair are painted hair. What was I saying? And then she said, I'm also sending you another sleeping sculpt. She's a cuddle baby. And I was like, wait a minute. I had to remember what a cuddle baby was. But in the reborn world, that is, they are fully cloth except for their vinyl head. They have a vinyl head that is done by an artist. And they're weighted with the same glass beads. But the rest of them is cloth. So it's tricky because you don't want to put them in things that will expose their arms or legs, because then they don't look realistic like these babies would. If I were to undress Hope, which I'm not going to do, but if I were to undress Hope, she would look like a real baby. Because the cloth, even the cloth, I will pull this down so you can see. Even the cloth for her cloth body is a flesh-colored cloth. So she would look like a real baby on camera. Even naked. But I'm not going to do that, so don't worry. But the cuddle babies would not. So you want to keep them in sleepers. That which I keep my babies most of the time in sleepers anyway. When you'll see more as I start showing them more here on the channel. But I wanted to, there's a conversation going on in the reborn community right now about normalizing the hobby. Because a lot of people think that the reborns are just for what they think of as crazy people. The people who are in nursing homes with Alzheimer's real bad and they don't know what they're doing. Or the, diagnosed schizophrenics and things that just, they need these dolls to keep them acting normal because they carry them around. And they treat them more and more and more like they're a real child. Well, you'll notice I'm holding her very carefully because they're so weighted. Like her head, when I will do this, now I'll be ready to catch her, but her head flops. So you have to treat them. You have to hold them like real babies. But we do know they're dolls. But there's a conversation going on in the reborn community right now about normalizing the hobby. And one of the ways that we're going to do that is by exposure and exposing more people to them. So I decided this channel is about things that I love to do. This channel is going to start featuring some coloring. Now, I won't be able to do what some of the coloring channels do where you actually see what I'm coloring as I'm coloring it because I don't have that kind of camera set up. But this channel is going to start featuring some coloring. This channel is going to continue to feature my wax, which I promise we are getting to. This channel is going to feature now my reborn daughters. And yes, I call them my reborn daughters. I talk to them. You've heard me probably some on this video doing it with Hope. But I should be holding the preemies and taking advantage of that bonding period with them. But I had to start with Hope because she was my first on the channel. So Hope is going to hang out with me while we go through what I have gotten through in the last 2 weeks. Because once again, it's been 2 weeks since I did a video. We've had a little bit of craziness. We went back to my grandparents' house actually, my brother and I went to Dollywood. Yesterday was a week ago. We left our house at 6:30 in the morning. Drove 3.5 hours to Tennessee. Went to Dollywood for the day. Left Dollywood at 5 o'clock in the evening. Drove back home. Actually, he drove into Gainesville and dropped me off with my parents to go over to my grandparents' house about 15 minutes from where we met. He drove home and he had to go to work the next day because he's in EMS. My grandparents, we went over to their house where my Uncle Dwayne and Aunt Melissa and their 2 boys were to finish their flooring project that we started 2 weeks previous to that. So I have lost quite a few days of melting in all of that. And then last week, coming home from their house, I never did film. And so this is, again, 2 weeks of empties. And you're going to laugh and you're going to say, well, for 2 weeks you didn't empty very much. But that's not to say that I've not been melting, because I have been. I have a lot of partial things. So, and I'm actually creating a lot more partial things. But let's start, because I did empty a few things. First empty I have is a watermelon tangerine Scentsy clamshell. Excuse me. Okay. First empty I have is a watermelon tangerine Scentsy clamshell. And I will have to do this carefully because you don't want to get fragrance oils on the reborns. But I do need to take a second and let you know this is one of our scents that is retiring at the end of this month. So if you are a Scentsy customer and you love this scent, either stock up while it's on sale. It's 20% off because it's going away. Or start yourself a Scentsy club if you don't have one. If you do have one, add this bar to your club and take advantage of the Always Get My Bar perk, where they will continue to make retired bars for you, even after they retire, if they're in your club, as long as you keep them in your club. I also finished, and you will not see the fragrance on this. This candle was a soot monster, and so I just threw it away. Or not just threw it away, I did finish it. But instead of saving the jar so you could see the fragrance, I threw it away. But a large 18-ounce Better Homes and Gardens candle. It was a gift from my secret sister last year at church. It was in the scent Red Lava Citrus. I used it in our bathroom. It was a soot monster, but I don't really worry about that, especially using it in our bathroom, because I would light it when the fan in the bathroom was running. So, or if I lit it, I would make sure the fan was running. So the soot did not really affect us being in the bathroom. But it was in the scent Red Lava Citrus from Better Homes and Gardens. I very much would repurchase that candle. Would also repurchase Watermelon Tangerine. It is in my club for the fall and winter season, while we do not know if it will be available again next spring. This wallflower bulb is Waikiki Beach Coconut. You will notice I do not have the wick in there. Bath & Body Works tells you not to let them go dry. So I no longer, oh my gosh, this is going to be my longest video I've ever uploaded because I had to give you the reborn story first. But anyway, I no longer let my wallflowers go dry because they tell you that kills your wallflower plugs, because it flips a safety switch and they turn off and you can't get them to turn back on. But this is Waikiki Beach Coconut. When it gets low enough that I don't want to leave it plugged into the wall anymore, I have learned a trick. I take tweezers, I pull the wick out, and then I have an oil diffuser in my bedroom. And I take the fragrance oil and I pour it into my oil diffuser. And so the water smells like the end of the fragrance oil. When I took the Waikiki Beach Coconut out, it was actually in here. There's a wallflower plug right over there in that wall. I put in Raspberry Tangerine, which at this point is about half used. I need to get to Bath & Body and get some more wallflowers, but I haven't had a chance yet. Like I said, our weekends have been a little crazy. And I have a few samples. I have just a couple of sample wax pieces. Excuse me while I put this back, because all of this No, this is empty again for next week. I have in my bathroom right now this sample of iced pineapple from Jim's Daughter's Crafts. I love pineapple scents. This one is very light. It is a vendor wax, and I know vendor waxes don't typically last as long. I love Michelle's wax from Jim's Daughter, but this iced pineapple is very, very light. If I get a chance to make recommendations to her, I would say more of the oil. It needs more of the oil because it is very light. It's doing fine in my bathroom, which is a smaller room, but I would not put it in anywhere bigger. And then this one was a sample from No & Co. Wax Company. It's called Petal Cakes. This is a dupe for the Bath & Body Works Pink Petal Tea Cake. It is currently going in my bedroom. This is a beautiful bedroom scent. I've never placed an order with No & Co. But if I ever do, I will be finding this scent. Anyway, thank you for sticking with me for the long story at the front of the video. Just to let you know, this channel is going to become More Than Wax, as Ashley Overly has recently changed her channel name to say Ashley Overly More Than Wax, and she is also making a mental health journey, mental health awareness type playlist. I think it's very important that stuff be discussed, and that the reborn hobby be normalized, because it is very therapeutic, extremely therapeutic. But a lot of times it's not allowed to be. Honestly, even my own family, my mom in particular, she's a nurse and she knows the benefits of things like this. But it's almost like she doesn't want to admit her family needs those types of things. So she even, while she loves Hope and she talks about how pretty she is and she loves the art side of it, she can't understand why I want to hold her. And I say, Mom, this is huggable art. It literally is. It's huggable art, and I love it. I think it's important that we normalize this and that we talk about things so that people realize that they're not alone in their struggles. So I wanted to talk and let you guys know that more is going to be on this channel than just wax. Oh my goodness, sorry. My babies, my reborn babies, you're going to start seeing more of them. And I'm sorry if they freak you out. This is honestly my favorites are the sleeping sculpts because they're so peaceful. I do have my Hannah Grace, and I love her. Her eyes are beautiful. What I would say is I would not have her anywhere near me at night because those eyes staring at me in the middle of the night would probably freak me out. But I wanted to take some time and prepare you guys. More is going to join this channel than just wax. If that's not your cup of tea, don't feel bad. Feel free to just watch the wax videos. I will even put in the title that this video discusses more than wax, so that if you want to just kind of scroll, I'll say the wax talk is about the last 10 minutes. So if you want to just scroll to that point, you can do that. But I thought it was important that I let you guys know more is going to be happening on this channel than just wax. With that, I'm going to go. Have a great Saturday evening. Have a wonderful day on Sunday, as I'm sure you won't see this till Sunday by the time my crappy internet uploads a 40-minute video. But have a wonderful Sunday. Be blessed, please, friends. And remember, there is always hope. Hope and her sisters and I will see you in the next video.